Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Counterparts. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista. George, you got something to say?
Yes, I do. I'm extremely excited today because we have an amazing guest today. We're going to have Andrea Mesis-Bruno on the show, and you're going to be really inspired and impressed by her. So check it out.
Sorry. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. George, why don't you bring up our guest? And we are so excited to have her on here. We're going to be talking a lot about everything that we're passionate about here on this show. So we're excited.
Yes, absolutely. So let me just give her a little intro here so people know a little bit about her. Okay. So Andrea Mesis-Bruno, by the way, her entire career was forged by taking big risks on a road rarely traveled by women. Starting from graduating second in her class at the police academy to providing a safe environment for 9/11 survivors in the days and weeks after their escape from the towers. Today, as president of her own company, DNA Construction Advisors, Andrea and her team offer a comprehensive suite of business development, sales, marketing services to developers, property managers, and contractors to allow them to level up their marketing and business strategy and scale their approach across the market. But Andrea also was recently recognized on the 2022 Women in Construction feature by the New York Real Estate Journal, and she has also been named one of New York City's notable Hispanic leaders and executives, and we are absolutely excited to have her on the program.
Yay, Andrea.
There she is, Andrea Mesis-Bruno. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for being on.
That was
wow. Should you be on here with us? I feel like
it sounded fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. This is going to be a great conversation. I'm going to have George actually I know he has always prepared questions. I usually kind of go on the flow and like to kind of like mix it up. So George, why don't you start us off and then we'll get started.
Absolutely. So just a little backstory. I've known Andrea now for the better part of maybe 15 years now. Yeah. We worked together at
Sorry, Andrea.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. But we worked together at the same company back in those years. And it's interesting. It's not a surprise to me that you now have your own company and that you're very successful. Okay. It's not a surprise because I remember you back then being very driven. I remember you being a complete go-getter, just no nonsense, thinking out of the box, that type of thing, which is something I actually, very much admired about you. So tell me, how did that attitude start? Did you always have that attitude when you were young? Did you develop that as you got old? Was that instilled in you? How did that work for you?
I think it's a mix. I think other people saw it in me before I saw it in myself, if that kind of makes sense. I just wanted to make everybody happy, like born people pleaser, and wanted to do everything as best as possible. Just give it to me, I'll fix it, I'll figure it out. And I didn't realize that I was built to be an entrepreneur. My dad was, always owned his own company. A lot of my family members own their own companies. My grandfather was one of the first Latino-owned companies in PC boards for back in the 70s, right? Wow. So like before, computer technology was really a thing, he was innovative and, he was successful in that. And I didn't even realize that back then. I was just like, I just want a salary. I want a consistent salary, maybe a corporate card that I can take people to lunch with. I never wanted to have the risk that my father went through, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I kind of was just thrust into it because I had kind of outgrown all of the positions that I had been in. And I was destined for more, whether I liked it or not. And then life happened. Yeah.
I think that also happens with entrepreneurs, isn't it? Like they want really that.
You're a moron.
Well, you're an idiot. Yeah, exactly.
Nobody likes you.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Michael. I like him. the funny thing is, I was just honored in Cranes, like you said, and I quoted Michael that if it was, thank God for the leader that let me make the mistake.
Right.
Over and over
Yes,
again, right?
absolutely.
That takes a strong leader, and I'm so grateful to him to this day. Because that was a tough job. I was there for like 8 years. My son was like 3 when I started working there. He's 16 now, and I still call upon him to say, "Am I doing it right? How's it going? Like, can I come back?" And he's like, "No, you can't fucking come back." Like, please. And he's like, "Keep going, keep going." So it's amazing how you look back and you see. But towards the end of my career as an employee, it wasn't working anymore. It wasn't. And it was, a lot of it was ego. A lot of it was my ideas were too big, just stay in your lane, do what I'm asking you to do. Keep all those other ideas away. We don't need you to do that. Yeah. And then now they're like watching and they're like, wow, I really should have let her do that for me.
That's awesome. I love that, because it's sort of it's that nice payback, but it's not like a mean payback. It's sort of like look, this is what I brought to the table. You didn't see it, unfortunately, and now I'm doing it. And you know, and that
it could have been for you. Sorry.
Right. Exactly.
So what really kind of fascinated you about that industry now, the construction industry and that whole thing?
So while we were working together, I was in the guard industry, building services. Yep. And I was thrust into, giving somebody a project, because Andrea was an overachiever and a people pleaser. They gave me like a whole company and a whole division of a company, and we're like, figure it out. And I was like, I have no idea about any of it. They're like, it's okay. If anybody's going to figure it out, it'll be you. And I got into security technology, and the security technology was a product. And for so many years, I had been dealing with a person, right? The commodity was a security officer, right? And people are flawed, all are, right? But when I got into a camera and a turnstile and access control, it was something that if you followed the instructions, it would work, right? Absolutely. And I loved the completeness of it. Right. And then I was like, wait, you could also do HVAC, you could also do plumbing, you could also do sprinklers. Oh wait, I could do all trades. And I got just such the interest in construction because of the tangible I expected outcome that I couldn't get in the security industry, right? It was a flawed product because people and the resources are always challenged, right? So I loved having like a more controlled product.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you see the vision, and it actually even keeps you up at night, right? You're like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And then when you start building it little by little, oh, I can do this part, and I can bring in this part. Right. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you have this huge thing going on.
Yeah. Well, the wonderful thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It happened very organically, because when I was working for one company and I was entertaining clients and I was on the business development side, I would get these other contractors that would call me and be like, hey, do you want to come to lunch with me and so? And I'm like, sure, my company's happy for it. They don't have to pay for that golf outing or that whatever. And it was because I had the relationship and the rapport.
Exactly.
And they wanted to capitalize on the relationship and rapport, because the commodity isn't always construction or a product. It's how you can connect with a person. Because in construction, you have to trust people that give you multi-million-dollar contracts, because they could lose their job if you fail.
That's right.
And I was the one that always blood, sweat, and tears, whether it was Hurricane Sandy or a transit strike or a blizzard. We all came into work at 5 a.m. We had no choice. We were like little brainwashed, like minions. And funny but true. And that's where they knew if Andrea was in the project, it would get done.
Right.
Hell or high water, no matter what. Andrea wasn't taking no for an answer. Andrea would run and yell at everybody, because it was the passion, because my name was on the line, right? That's it. And that's where other people tried to use my relationships, which was great. And then I found a way to make money off of it. So now I help connect people, and I help bring people to the table. Predominantly minority and women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, small businesses, startups they're just looking for their shot, and they wouldn't have it if somebody wasn't bringing them in.
Correct. Yeah. And one of the points I wanted to make was that entrepreneurship is also, you can enter it through so many different areas. It doesn't, like you said, you came into this area and then you saw the possibilities and so many different opportunities. Was there ever a barrier that kind of you hit, either a person or an actual? I'm taking
it's a loaded question.
You want a list?
Yeah. But was there ever a challenge where you decided, where you said to yourself, maybe I'm not going to do this? How close did you come?
Regularly.
Yeah.
I still say it regularly. I'm doing something that wasn't done, right? So
Right.
I'm essentially a manufacturer's rep, right? Or a broker, but for construction projects. And that's not something that's ever been done before.
Interesting.
And because of that, everyone says you can't do that. No.
Right.
Oh, man.
Right.
Why would I pay you to represent me? I'll pay you when you get me the deal. And I'm like, well, no, because there's a price of doing business and it's a service. And if I'm going to represent you, you have to have skin in the game. I'm not going to just trust that when the $5 million purchase order comes through that you'll hit me off. Like, that's not a reality, right? There's a big pursuit that goes into cultivating and nurturing those relationships and those projects. And I get paid for the nurturing and the cultivating.
Right. And that's the bigger percentage of it, is actually that part of it. That's the part that they don't have. That's why they're paying.
Exactly. And that's the part that they don't see either, because I have to meet with some property managers or some contractors multiple times before they'll even give my clients a meeting.
Wow.
Look at that.
They don't want to know a new guy. They don't want to switch their electrical contractor to somebody because I say they're really nice. Please give them a shot.
Right.
They say, like, I'm not interested. And then I have to pitch it to them. I have to sell them for them before they get to go to the lunch or the golf outing or the PowerPoint presentation, lunch and learn, whatever. Because there's all this behind the scenes that creates the interest to even give them a shot,
Right. Awesome.
Amazing. But what's even more amazing about it to me is that not only are you succeeding in what we could say is a mostly male dominated industry, right?
Yeah.
But it's also generational, right?
Yeah.
Because the parents bring the kids into it.
I call it the Lucky Sperm Club, where I use it frequently. It's like, your dad was probably salt of the earth, amazing, hardworking, amazing, dedicated tradesman, right? That built an amazing business. But you probably went to Ivy League schools and then just decided you wanted to take over daddy's business one day. And now everybody has to deal with you.
Right. Exactly.
And you might be a watered down version of the original. And that's just fact. Right? So I nailed it. Sorry. Truth bomb.
Mic drop. Yeah, no, it's definitely that. And you're also dealing with however they thought their privilege should be viewed. Yeah. So they probably are looking at everyone else. Well, I am the boss now. This is just and that alone, and that alone is a nightmare.
Well, because I respect New York City construction is an institution. I respect every bit of it. I love the history that goes behind every amazing portfolio manager I know talks about when they started as a helper, and then they became an engineer, and then they became a chief, and then they got the property manager job, and they always talk about the cleaning company that had their back when they were learning the ropes, right? Everybody came up in this business, and every property manager started as an assistant, they became an assistant property manager, up to where they're at now. And they all remember where they came from. And that's a beautiful thing. And my business is named DNA Construction Advisors for DJ and Andrea, because I'm building this for him.
Nice.
And I can't wait for him to be a Lucky Sperm Club. So I'm good with it. I just don't, I want to make sure everybody kind of remembers who earned the seat, right? And make sure that they're earning their seat on their own merit as well.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about being Latina. You're a Cubana, no?
I'm half. Yes, I'm half Cuban, half Jamaican.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Nice.
So that's something that presents not a challenge, but I would say something more like an envy, something that you really want to embrace and to show and to really help other, not just Latina women, but just women in general.
Yeah, I don't speak Spanish. Just because my mother was
Right.
born in Jamaica and it wasn't spoken in the house, right? Where
Yeah.
as the generations go on, you're going to see more and more Latinos or Italians or Polish that don't speak their native language because we're Americans now, right?
Right.
And I was looked down upon and still am regularly harassed within my own community as that I'm not Latina enough. And I was obviously did a podcast about it with another friend of mine. And it's like, guys, come on, we've got enough division already. Like, embrace each other. Everybody who wants to embrace their culture and their heritage, that wants to help represent and to create opportunities for other women, for other Latinas, for other whatever, right? Insert what your category is. Don't put anybody else down. And I find that even when in the pursuit of women empower women, even in the pursuit of Latina pride, we're still putting each other down over and over again. And we're not realizing that we're our own limiting factor.
Exactly.
And that's what I hope to dispel, within these women empowerment groups. I find every one of them wants to be the alpha.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like, we're not the lunch table girls. You're not captain of the cheerleading squad. You're in the plumbing company. You're a general contractor. I'm a consultant. We all eat.
Right.
Why are you mad? Why are you mad? Like, why can't you just like clap for another girl? Just be like, she's doing it. Show me how. Take me with you.
Exactly.
But yeah.
But you're right.
We're all still very vulnerable.
Yeah, and it is a generational educational thing that has to be done by somebody like yourself. I have 2 kids. I'm Puerto Rican. I was raised by my grandparents, so I speak Spanish fluently. But
good for you.
Sorry. But my kids don't, and I don't speak it in the house. My wife doesn't speak Spanish, and but we don't even talk about that because I don't want my daughter or my son to grow up thinking that they're anything other than what they are. They were born in America and they have the same opportunities as anyone else. And I think it's important that we really break that away. You know what I mean? The fact that I speak Spanish doesn't really mean jack, really, in the big scope of things. I like it because my work and stuff like that, I can do stuff. But other than that, it's not any reason to look down at anyone else. Like, I would never look down at my own kids.
Yeah, I mean, I co-wrote a book, Today's Inspired Latina, with a group of amazing women, and it's part of a series. And one woman that I was so proud to tell her, because she's a Latina in our industry, she's like, "How could you do that? You don't even speak Spanish." And then I had an Italian girl that I knew, and she's like, "But you don't speak Spanish. Why are you in Cranes?" And I said, "Do you speak Italian?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "You don't see how ridiculous that is?"
Hello.
We're doing this? We're doing this still? I don't get it. Okay.
Wow. I was told once that they were like, you weren't from the Bronx. He said, you're from Montclair. From Montclair. I guess Montclair, New Jersey is,
I live close to Montclair. It's pretty nice.
It is nice, yeah. They said,
It's
no, you're
fancy.
from Montclair. And I took that as sort of an insult, because I don't know what a Puerto Rican is supposed to sound like, but apparently I don't sound enough Puerto Rican for them. So we're dealing with it.
Within the Latino culture, it's which country you're from. If you were born in Puerto Rico or you were born in New York, because then you're Nuyorican and you're not. So I don't know how to say it in Spanish. You probably do. It's like not from here, but not from there, right? Like it has that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's an expression, and it's like no one. Everybody makes you feel like she's not whole, And it's like, guys, get over yourself. Like, I'm cool with myself. I wasn't worried about it. I know how to swear. I know what you're talking about me. That's enough.
That's enough. All you need to know is the swear words, and you're good to go.
And the dancing and the cooking.
And the dancing.
That's a requirement.
And the food.
That's where I draw the line.
Yes.
If you cannot cook and you cannot dance, then you're really just
then it's
So in your business and when you're going to work with clients, what are you looking for in those clients?
I'm looking for a client that is going to listen, right? As business owners, everybody works really hard to grow where they got.
Right.
But if they want to get bigger and if they want a more exposure to a different bubble or to know where they're losing ground within their current bubble, they have to listen.
Yes.
And hearing someone give them candid feedback, which is what I get, is what they have to be able to take it. And I have to work really hard to make sure that I'm credible, that I'm concise in my communication, that I'm fair in the way that I'm communicating it, which I'm working on. But they have to be able to take the medicine, right? I'm trying to cure you from your circumstance.
Right.
Take your medicine.
And that's the hard part, especially for the entrepreneurs, because like you said, they're so used to doing it their way, and it's this way, and it may not be working, but they think, no, this is the right way. And you have to be sometimes willing to step back and accept that help or accept that outside advice to say, you know what, you can change it this way. And sometimes, I mean, even you did it with Michael, right? And your previous bosses, right? As mentors, right? You look to them and say, they had value that they gave me, and then I carry that forward, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been very, very, very particular about listening to those that I respect. And sometimes I don't want to hear it. Because if they're not talking to me from their ego or arrogance or just not understanding what I'm doing, I don't pay attention. But you don't give people a seat when they're in the cheap seats, right? They don't get a say when they're talking to you as a spectator. Put your skin in the game. Show me that you're actually doing something that I want to embody, and then I'll listen to you, right? This took a lot of balls to do what I'm doing, and it should be respected instead of minimized, right? Or, I know you have great clients, but I also do business with those clients with your competitor. So you don't have enough of their work. Some of it I have. I could bring that over to you. So be open-minded,
I was working. I won't mention the club. I won't mention anybody. But I worked at in health club.
Oh, we love name dropping.
I know, right? I was working at the health club industry for about 18 years, and I was at this club, very upscale club with a lot of like famous people and whatever. And I went to the owner once, and I went to her and I said, I have a lot of experience in this area. I said, maybe I can help in this area. I was operations manager for the facility, but I can work in this area because I have a lot of experience there. I've done it, my resume and all that. So she leans in and she says to me, John, just do your job.
Wow.
And I remember, I was in the office and I remember just like having this air taken out of me, and I was like, okay. I kind of like, I left there. I was like, all right, no problem. Within about 7 months, they lost the business and had to sell for nothing. And it was a done deal. And we were trying to explain to them, me and this other gentleman, who was sort of a mentor of mine, kind of a rough talker. But we're trying to explain to her, you're bleeding money. And this is what you were talking about. When you're trying to explain to someone and they don't want to hear it because they might see it but they just don't want to confront something. And you're bringing it to the table, and they don't want to confront that. And it's really difficult. So, I mean, your industry where you have not only one person, you have numerous people that you have to have this conversation with.
Right. How
do you go into a conversation with one person? Is there one mindset, or is there like, okay, I did a little research on this person, I know a little bit, how do you manage that?
So I studied forensic psychology in college. Like I said, I went to police academy. Like George said, I went to police academy. Super fun. My dad is a private investigator, world renowned. He's like Meet the Fockers, right? Like my dad is like George. Yeah. So awesome. Like Robert De Niro. So like human lie detector. Like growing up with this guy was not easy. But it was amazing.
Wow.
But like I know the Jedi mind trick, right? So I study a lot of what I do in business development is the behavioral science behind influence. A lot of it is, how to be persuasive so that someone thinks it's their idea. And a lot of it is understanding all of the little dots that come together. I mean, it's like one of my ADD superpowers, right? I can connect everything because I can see such a high level of a big picture because I'm on the outside, right? Anytime someone's looking down from the outside, they can see things that you can't see because you're too close.
Exactly.
So what I do tell my clients sometimes is, that guy's not an asshole. He doesn't hate you. He just doesn't want to do business with you because he doesn't like your super. But I'll give them because everybody writes their own little script or their own little narrative. And I'll tell him, listen, he doesn't want to do business with you because 3 jobs ago when he was at this building, you weren't very nice to him.
Right.
And he remembers that you don't, right? So I'll tell people what they don't realize. And similar to your story, my last job, which I knew I couldn't do this anymore. I just couldn't put myself through this anymore. I came with a marketing strategy for the owner of the company that I was working for, and he told me to stay in my lane. Just go sell.
Look at that.
And I wanted to stay in my lane. George, you know me, George. Right, like the cartoon character.
Head for the hills.
Could you imagine? He's seen me lose my temper before, and it's like, you tell me to. When someone comes to you with a well thought out, passionate offering that is, as the VP of client development, their job, right? You tell them to stay in their lane. Like, what kind of leader is that, right? Like, who would do that?
Not
someone
leader.
Who came with initiative, right? That's not a leader. That's just a boss. And and you can quit a job from a boss, but you never quit on your leaders, right? And that's why years later, I'm still looking back to the people that I found to be leaders in my career.
Yeah. But it makes you also a better leader for the folks that are in your company now, right?
Yeah, because you're seeing what not to do.
Exactly.
I know, but I'm still me. I always said I'm self-aware. I'm very self-aware. I've had some tough bosses in my career, and I always said I wanted to be nothing like them.
Right.
And I see it now from a different lens. In a lot of ways, because I think sometimes I'm too transparent and I'm too diplomatic with things when I should just be a boss. In a little bit, you're not everybody's friend. Sometimes people aren't gonna do for you like you would do for them. I know what I did during Hurricane Sandy. I know what I did, but on 9/11, and I shouldn't expect that the people are going to do the same because they're not built like me, right? And I think that's been one thing I've been really learning is, I'm like, how could they do this? How could they be so lazy? Or how could they not, not see the opportunity in front of them? But you know what? Some people aren't going to see it. Some people aren't going to work as hard as you, especially when it's your business and it's your name.
Exactly.
No one's ever going to work as hard as you.
That's right.
For what is yours.
And they probably shouldn't either. That would be a bad sign if someone is working harder than the actual. So, but it's a balance, isn't there? You have to have a balance between like when you have to kind of like say, okay, listen, I can't mess around now. This is serious now. This is my last story because I promise I won't cry. But I had one boss there was 2 people that were coming in like hungover. They were my bosses. So they were giving me a lot of shit. So I went over to the boss and I said, listen, I want to talk to you about something. I'm having a little bit of difficulty. If you can be in all the meetings that we're having, that would help me a lot because then it'll be clarified. That was all I asked. John, I don't want to get involved. That's between you and them. I really don't want to be. I was like, all right, fine. They shut down. And they had like 5 clubs that they shut down. So I was in this industry for a long time, seeing a lot of people make a lot of mistakes, and a lot of what you're talking about is just so spot on. And the balance that you need to operate, man, that is just a everyday balance that you have to kind of check yourself and be like, okay, I got to give this person a little bit of a tougher talk because it's going to burn me at the end.
And I always start it by like, this is going to be awkward. Like, let's have a tough conversation.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's been really powerful. Is really taking when I keep hiring my friends, which is probably something I shouldn't be doing. But like, I don't want to stop. I can't help it. So it's like I'm self-aware, but I still do the same shit. And he almost spit. I was great. You thought you were gonna cry. But I make sure I let them know, like, this is going to be an awkward moment for us.
Yes.
But I wouldn't be serving you properly if I didn't tell you how I see it and how it's impacting the business. And I got to tell you, they've respected it every time, or they've excused themselves, right? And that's great, because I don't want perfection. I have been a terrible employee in many a circumstance. But I do want people to be in my corner, right? And the only thing that I find to be completely unforgivable, that I will not pursue having someone with me another second, is if they don't believe in what I'm trying to do for people, right? I don't care. Mediocrity. You don't know how to send an email. You mess up in a meeting. You get drunk in a meeting. I could live with all scenarios, right? You want to say you have COVID because you're hungover? Fine, I'm with it. No problem, right? I've done it too, so it's fine. But if you don't believe in what I'm trying to do for businesses, we have an issue. Right. And that I can't have people in my company not in my corner, and that's to me a hard boundary. Right.
You actually made a point about being a bad employee, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. A lot of entrepreneurs, they're just not built. They haven't found themselves in that position yet, but they haven't taken that leap. But they've become not great employees. I know that for a fact, for a lot of things that I've done as well.
I love not working. I say this, I haven't had a job. I haven't had a job in the longest, right? Like, I took a nap this afternoon. I get to set my own schedule. I was not built for a 9 to 5.
That's right.
I will tell you, not a lot of us are.
That's right.
And I think COVID kind of proved to a lot of people, this is unreasonable. Like, how do people get their laundry done? Like, how do people take care of their kids? If my son was 3 during COVID as a single mom, I wouldn't have survived. There's no way. I see my friends now, and my heart aches for them.
Yeah.
I think the reason that a lot of people switched to the side hustle and the solopreneur, the Instagram hair care pyramid scheme or whatever they're on, is because they had no other choice. Right. They couldn't sustain the complexity of life and work, right?
You're right.
And I know that most of my failures now were because of the structure. It was overstructured. I had a 30-year-old boss sitting there twiddling her hair going, "What did you do today?" And I'm like, I sold $5 million worth of work. Right. What do you mean? If you're going to go to lunch and it's going to be more than $100, you really need to get it approved first. And I was like, all of them are more than $100. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to take the guy for a burger at TGI Fridays? Like we're talking about multi-million-dollar deals. Like, we went for a deal. It's the way that corporate America has overly structured so many of their businesses that they've just completely sabotaged creativity and the intelligence of their labor pool.
Yeah.
And being smart during the pandemic yourself, right? That's what allowed you to navigate through that whole piece, right? Well,
I was able to have a 30-minute conversation with a business owner, just brainstorming, like initial call, and I completely pivoted their company. Just off the top of my head. But it was like, again, it's because I was coming down from the outside looking in. They were in high-end luxury retail construction, like Fifth Avenue.
Right. That
shit was boarded up at that moment, right? There was no retail, and there was riots everywhere. I was like, pivot.
Yeah.
Right? As a struggling single mom who did nothing but make miracles, right? I used to call it the Christmas miracle every year. How did I pull off getting my son the exact Christmas present that he never thought I could have afforded?
Wow.
It was a Christmas miracle, right?
Right.
COVID came, and a lot of people, the Lucky Sperm Club mostly, didn't know how to struggle. They didn't know how to face adversity, and Latinas and those from humble beginnings and single moms, we did it every day. That's right?
Yeah.
So this was our Super Bowl, right? We were built for this shit. We knew how to just pull off miracles every day because we'd already been doing it for so many years.
There you go.
Correct. I think George and I, me personally, I did better during COVID. I'm with a real estate agent in New Jersey. I'm in Nashville now, but that just dried up. And I had a little production company where I was doing videos, content, and social media for small companies. That dried up. So then I was just like, all right, well, I got to figure out something else. And it gave me so much. You're right. We're not built to do first of all, that's 40 hours. That's not counting
which is a lie. Which is a lie.
Yeah,
it's
right,
never
right,
40.
exactly.
We remember we did not work 40 hours.
That's just BS. And then there's the commuting and all that stuff. And I think a lot of businesses now, because of COVID, realize, you know what? We don't need to have 400 employees with the space that we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to house them.
We like everybody in their office. We're in commercial construction in New York City.
So I think everyone should come back.
Yes.
Go back to the office to see your friends, because that water cooler ain't going to tell itself jokes.
George and I wouldn't bond this way without having been in the office together.
So yes,
exactly. Exactly.
George, why don't you take
you mentioned you mentioned Instagram. Talk a little about the social media component of all this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I kind of like, if you build it, they will come. Everyone's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I love storytelling, right? I love brand storytelling, and I was doing it before it was a thing. I think I tend to be kind of neon in life, in all things, right? My house, my life, my personality.
Yes.
And I have a very colorful, funny, non-curated, right? That minimalist, vanilla, like perfection that you see a lot. And people tuned in, I lost my mom in 2015, and I was pretty vocal about that being really, really difficult. She's my best friend. See, now I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry, but I was just saying it. And that journey that I went through, I think people saw a realness and a vulnerability that people identified with, right? And it made people feel closer. People feel close to see that I'm a single mom doing some pretty cool things for my kid. And since my nephew now lives with us, and now I'm getting married, and I have a rescue pit bull, and
awesome.
People then feel connected, so that I run into someone and they're like, I can't believe DJ's got his permit. And I'm like, do they have a son or a daughter? Because I don't know, because some people they don't share.
They don't
But the way that I run my business as well is by sharing, right? Find your brand story. Find a way to make people see why you're a special company, right? Tell me why you got into the elevator business, and tell me what makes you tick, right? Show me your amazing employees that have been with you for 20 years, right? Don't make it about you in your suit going like, nobody cares, right? People want to see what you've done for others. People want to see what makes you different, because you're not the one that's showing up all the time. I tell so many CEOs all the time, stop showing up for every single sales call. And they're like, why? And I said, well, because if you're there at every sales call, you're not going to be at the project meetings. Or if you're out with them bar hopping until 10 o'clock at night, who's going to the 7 a.m. construction meeting the next day, right? Empower your people to be in the big rooms, right? So that they speak for you, right? I can tell you I'm amazing all day long. I'll do it. I don't care, right? But I'd rather my employees talk about the amazing things that I'm doing and why they love working for me.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, the difference. You have to let that happen, right? In order for you truly to scale your business. So I use Instagram, I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook for the storytelling component, because success wants to be on the winning team, right? You could cry, you could complain, you could be like, I need a deal. Nobody's going to give you work, right? Because you're desperate. You're needy, right? But if you're doing great, everyone's going to remember to give you a call.
Correct.
Because they want to be, they know you're killing it. How many people say, oh my God, you're killing it? I was like, because I told you I was killing it.
Right. And nobody's going to call. Right. Exactly. And in social media.
Do that.
Do that.
That's a free tip for you.
Exactly. In social media, there's storytelling. Nobody's going to call someone who's constantly telling a story that's depressing or a failure or, it's going to be a real thing. They want to know somebody. I work in social media that's my day gig, right? So I do social media for a local business. Bless you. And I think it's one of the hardest, bless you, one of the hardest things to do is to actually get people to want to tell their story. They feel sometimes, well, I'm a kind of a private person, you know.
Oh, I hear it all the
I
time.
hate that, you know, because it's like
Yeah.
you're not a private person. You just don't know how to
Yeah.
put this together, you know. And that
when you're posting
conversation has to-
pictures of your boat, you're not that much of a
Right.
private person.
exactly.
That's true. Very
Exactly.
true.
Bro. Dude, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Like, and that's the ego check
right.
that I often have to have with clients is like, who are you kidding?
Right. You love
you
storytelling.
you love storytelling.
Right.
You just look arrogant and you're trying to collect PPP money and you're showing
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
red
Absolutely.
flag.
Right.
So talk about what you're working on now. What new projects you have coming up?
So my business is growing. We've officially launched brick and mortar my Miami, South Florida office.
Nice.
And headed out to Houston to move forward on my Houston office.
Wow.
Really? Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Awesome. Things are going. Things are going.
So
Houston's
awesome.
a great market. I'm really excited. Really excited to get involved with it. Do more. It called to me. I didn't.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
Just
That's,
comes to you when you're ready for it.
Cool.
And I'm actually in talks to be the executive producer of a show where I'm going to interview entrepreneurs about how they got where they are and see how that goes. And you know, no reality though. No reality TV for me. It's as far as I go.
So it won't be
that was my son's one promise. He says, "Mommy, just please no reality."
No reality. No reality.
That's great. I'll definitely be following your story. So that's more of opportunity for storytelling and to really share that journey with an audience. That's exciting. Wow, that's awesome.
Fun stuff. Very fun stuff.
Yeah. Did you was that something that you pitched? You had that idea, or that was something?
No, I told them I don't want to be famous 900 times.
You got no chance at this point.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. You know, but I mean, the opportunities evolve. Some of them dilute themselves and don't materialize. But but some of them gain inertia and they just happen overnight. So it's exciting, and you know, the charity work that I do is super important to me. I think it's been one of the biggest driving forces for me is being involved with Maestro Cares. I sponsor a boy in an orphanage in Puerto Rico, Ponce, Puerto Rico. That's one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done. And getting involved with Mark Anthony and Henry Cardenas' charity has just been inspiring and amazing for me. I just got back from a celebrity golf outing in Miami with them last week, and I love being around the amazing philanthropists that I have been lucky enough to meet. My one friend, Perla Tamaz, is the founder of Love Soldier, and she's amazing powerhouse within the Latina community. The list of my friends is too much to count, that are like, when we're in the rooms together and like we fly out to go to whatever that we're at, it's amazing to be in a room with truly successful people and you watch what the conversation is. It's empowering. 5 minutes with my friend Zaidi is like all the warm and fuzzies that you could possibly need to keep you motivated and driven. I work with Tuesday's Children, which is a 9/11 charity that's now open up to children of the fallen. I'm a Gold Star sister myself, and I love getting involved with anything that has to do with helping those that have fought for our country. My family's all been in the military, and that's my grandfather's flag.
Awesome.
Sorry, it's backwards. It's weird. But my mom was in the military. My dad was in the military. We joke around in my house all the time that we're really good Marines.
Nice.
She raised us that way. But yeah, I mean, I love what I could do, especially for PTSD and any soldier that has been emotionally impacted for the sacrifices that they've made for us. So that's work that I do, and also working on doing some kind of a residential project with PTSD veterans.
Wow. So you're busy.
In my spare time.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring. There are a lot of people that are on the journey, on a journey. They don't know exactly what the journey looks like yet, but they know that there's something driving, some driving force that they have. What's your advice to someone out there that's kind of on this journey, but they're kind of running into people saying things like, "Just do your job, just stay in your lane," that kind of thing. What's your advice to those peeps out there?
Be really careful who you take your advice from. Theodore Roosevelt said it, like I said before, the man in the arena, right? I use that quote on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Find someone who's in the shit of it and doing a great job, and then ask them to check you when you've gone awry. I typically will leave a meeting where I get like a hard no, and I'll reach out to a friend, and he'll be like, "You've seen that movie before. You already know the ending."
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I needed to hear that because I doubt myself because I'm a people pleaser. At the end of the day, like I'm a rule follower. I'm a people pleaser. Somebody's like, that's stupid. No one's going to do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I scurry away. And that's when I reach out to my friends and they're like, Andrea, no, full steam ahead.
Right.
They just don't want to pay you.
Right.
And they want to see if you know how much you're worth. Right. You know how much you're worth. You didn't pull that number out of nothing. You know how much you're worth. They're just trying to see if you know how much you're worth. So find somebody that you could really, really, really trust and ask them to make a commitment to you.
Oh, that's
Listen,
good.
I'm going to be a little needy.
Right.
I'm going to need some help here. Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be an energy vampire. Right. You want to make sure that the person is down for the job.
Sure.
And make sure that you're checking in with them. And that they're telling you what you don't want to hear and that you're listening.
And that you provide value to them as well to get more energy, to build that energy. You're not saying, I want your energy. You're saying, I have energy. I just need to direct it in the right way. Can you help me direct this in the right way?
Right.
And, and if there's someone that you can trust, then that's a good way to go. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
We're doing this now, George?
Yes, we're doing this. We're doing this. Thank you.
We could do this. We could do this. We could do all the emojis.
So when you're juggling so much, what do you do when you say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna chill out I'm gonna give myself an hour and I'm just gonna do something that I enjoy?
I either take a nap with my dog right there.
Okay.
I love classic rock.
Nice.
And I love a good dive bar. There's a country bar across the street. I sent my nephew to go work there because I just want to be over there. It's pretty amazing. It's like Coyote Ugly. I love that in my hometown, there's an amazing classic rock bar that is my home base. It's my grounding point. Like the owner gives really good hugs, Rich Hempel, and I had my birthday there, and it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I love that because it reminds me of my mom a lot. I love to just be with friends, and I like to be a potato. Like those little Instagram memes. I'm a potato.
Yeah,
I'm a potato.
Who's your number one? Who's your number one in classic rock?
Leonard Skinner.
Nice.
Nice. All right.
I'm an old lady. I'm an old lady.
There's a great documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you've probably seen it, but on Leonard Skinner. It's pretty
very cool. The last concert I saw before COVID was Bob Seger, and
nice.
It was amazing. I was by far the youngest person there. I was the only one that wasn't stoned, and it was like I just sat there and I cried, and the guy was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "This is amazing." And he looked like he was a hologram, like he had died like years ago, and they were just
oh my god,
yeah, it was awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, George and I, we love classic rock. Also, that was part of our our whole thing that we got sucked into that whole world
as musicians growing up, and that's it. We were gone.
So much better. Though.
I love music. I love music. Yeah, they don't make it like that anymore.
No, we heard. John and I did a whole show on that. How the old music is killing the new music, actually.
Yeah.
Statistically too, not just our opinion.
Right.
This is awesome. Wow. We are really privileged and honored to be able to talk to you and to get your viewpoints and to get your insight into not just the industry, but just life itself.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really talk about work very much.
No, but that's the whole thing, and that's why we love doing this show, because we know the work that's behind there. There's a lot of work, and there's a lot of the knowing this and the everyday stuff, but there's also this side that people don't see. And it's the challenge.
But people don't show, right? Because everybody wants to be curated.
Right.
Everybody wants to be like, somebody said this the other day, and I was so sad for her. Beauty is seen, not heard. And I was like, ooh, boo, get a brain. Like if I only had a brain, like, and I was like, come on, girl, like.
That's so sad.
You could be seen and heard and respected and have a voice that's strong. I'm not a feminist. I'm not an angry. I'm not a man hater. Like, I think women are mostly women's own worst enemy when it comes to empowerment and diversity.
Right.
But have a voice, right?
Yes.
Like, you only have this one life to live, and if we've all learned anything, it's like life is super short.
Right. Boom.
And it's way too short for bullshit, like for fake nonsense, right? Instagram has been destroyed by this, by the filters and the this and the that. And trust me, I use a filter. I'm 41. I get to use a filter. I earned that filter. But people don't want to show like that their house is messy. Like, life is life.
Life
is relax.
Life. That's it.
Relax. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's where burnout comes. Yeah,
absolutely. And when you look at like even TikTok, which is even like it really shows you like, wow, there's problems. I mean, it's really just sad to see what some of the young. But anyway, I don't want to get into all that. But the wonderful.
It's a great thing to talk about because
it is a great
not
thing
being talked about.
Right. It's not being talked about.
Yeah.
And I think George and I, whenever we have somebody on, we'll ask them about their social media and their presence and how they work it, and storytelling is always the biggest thing. And it's being real, showing exactly, my kitchen and my kids running around and doing, because that is my life. And if there's anything to gain from that, I want them to see the real thing. I don't want them to see, I use no filters, because I don't need them.
Because you're just naturally gorgeous.
Yeah,
that's
he got the
you
looks
don't
in the
even need
family.
a filter.
Yeah. But still, I want to make sure that people understand that this is really the deal here. I'm not trying anything, and So
I pride myself in showing people the good, the bad, and the ugly.
You
right?
have to.
And not that fake vulnerability thing that people do now.
Right.
They're like, I have a plate. Like, stop. Like, because that's obnoxious too. You know what I mean? But I hate seeing the pressure that is put on mothers and wives with these beautiful houses and everything. I mean, there are laundry baskets hidden behind this couch right now, as there should be, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's life. Like, come on.
Life.
But like, don't put that pressure on yourself for perfection. It's present over perfect. It's a great book. I read it a long time ago. Be real.
Be real.
Because if not, it will break you.
Love it.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. George, any last questions or?
No, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, this was so.
I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. Oh my God, it's like when I'm so happy when you said you were going to come on with us. I was like, yes.
It was an easy yes.
And I'm extremely happy that you're doing so well, and looking forward to seeing all the great things you're going to be doing moving forward. And
me too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll definitely be following you, and everybody check her out, and also check out our company, DNA Construction Advisors. And thank you so much.
Everything is going to be your email. Everything's going to be on the links below of all these things where this is all playing. So definitely be following your journey. We appreciate you so much for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hang on. Don't leave just yet, but we want to thank you so much for being on. And please, anytime you can always come back. We'd love to have you on.
Thank you.
You got it. Wow. That was awesome, man. That was like
about
inspiring.
Amazing inspiration, amazing energy. Just and again, it's like a flashback to when I worked with her, right? She has that. Always has that smile. Always has that.
You knew.
Attitude.
You told me when you were talking
and I
about
told you, right? I
I
told
knew
you
she was gonna do something because her personality and her drive was just so always on
exactly.
point. So you already knew that. So I
Yeah,
knew it was
I
gonna
knew
be
it.
a
I knew
great
it. That's why I
conversation.
said this was going to be a great show because she exudes that, you know. So
Fantastic. Love it. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for Counterparts. I am John Henry Soto, and this is George Batista. And we want to thank you all. We'll see you all next week. And same time, 7 o'clock Central, 8 p.m. Blah, 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 blah. And we'll see counterpartsshow.com. You can see the show there now. So check it out. So as always, peace.
peace.